On today's show, FanDuel MVP favorites for next NBA season. Nikola Jokic is the favorite right now, but who has a strong case to take home next season's trophy? Who are the dark horse candidates to pay the most attention to? It's all coming up right here at Locked On NBA.
You are Locked On NBA, your daily NBA podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up and welcome to another edition of Locked On NBA, the biggest stories with the local experts. I'm your host, Jackson Gatlin, also host of Locked On Rockets right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. Now, today's episode is brought to you by Bird Dogs. You've got to check out Bird Dogs. They are the most comfortable, nice fitting shorts you will ever own. I didn't used to be a shorts guy until I got my hands on some Bird Dogs. I'd almost always ask anybody in my life, I'd always be wearing something from like hip to ankle, jeans, khakis, sweatpants, something, right? Finally got my hands on some Bird Dogs, and let me tell you, they are the best shorts that I own. I have 3 pairs, and I need to go buy more because I wear them all the time. You can wear them for any kind of event, just hanging out with friends, beach day, pool party. You can swim in them. You can wear them out for a date night. They're so versatile. They come in so many different colors, patterns, styles, all of that. They'll be the best shorts you ever own. I guarantee you that. So go check them out. Go to birddogs.com/LockedOnNBA or enter promo code LockedOnNBA at checkout for a free Bird Dogs water bottle with every single purchase you make. That's birddogs.com/LockedOnNBA for a free water bottle at checkout. You won't want to take your Bird Dogs off. We promise you that. Joining us now is the host of Locked On Nuggets, Matt Moore. He can track down wherever you listen to your podcasts and on YouTube. Just search Locked On Nuggets. Here to break down the odds favorites for next season's NBA MVP. And leading the way, of course, is Nikola Jokic. And we'll start with him, top of the list. Favorite to win the award right now via FanDuel Sportsbook at plus 430. And then we've also got Giannis Antetokounmpo at plus 500, Luka Doncic at plus 650. And then rounding out the top 5, you have Joel Embiid plus 700 to defend his MVP title. And then Jason Tatum at plus 800. Matt, aside from Jokic just, showing up to the arena, what does he have to do to secure potentially yet another MVP award this season? Or do you even think that it's championship hangover, that it's just not something that's, on the forefront of his mind currently?
Oh, I know it's not on the forefront of his mind.
Because he takes every chance to tell us that it's not at the forefront of his mind. My bad.
He's the anti-Joel Embiid. Embiid can't stop telling us that he doesn't care when he does, and Embiid and Jokic can't stop telling us that he doesn't care, and he genuinely doesn't. I think he cares a little, but I think he's annoyed by a lot of the conversation. I think if we look at what a season from Jokic looks like, it's probably easier than we think because he's in such control of the game. The numbers are going to be there. He's going to dominate the advanced stats. That's pretty obvious. He didn't have his numbers were not incredible in terms of a production standpoint last season. He scored less than 27 points per game. That's significant. He wasn't like a leader in the league, and he didn't lead the league in assists, didn't lead the league in rebounds. It's that combination, the efficiency, the way that he shapes the game, which is what all those advanced metrics are always trying to kind of encapsulate. That makes a lot of his case, as well as just watching him night to night and seeing how they dominate. If he's able to come in and play at such a high level and the Nuggets just coast, if it's a light work for them and they roll to 55 wins just based off of the strength of their starting 5, which the starting point for that is obviously going to be health. They have lost a lot of depth, but if the starting 5, they just get a lucky year where everybody stays healthy for the most part again, then there's every opportunity for Jokic to be in that conversation. If we get to the end of the year and there isn't a dominant storyline, if there isn't a team that has pop that everybody's like, you got to look at this team and this player, and it's like, well, yeah, it's kind of what we thought it would be. Like the Celtics are really good, but like Tatum's not as good as Jokic, or oh wow, like the Lakers are really good, but AD missed so and so, didn't make the minimum number of games. All these types of things. There may be a situation in which Jokic is kind of the default, which, to be honest, was kind of what he was when he won the first award. You could make an easier case, I think, for Embiid over him in that season in 21 than you honestly could have last year. But that was a whole other thing. So there's a way that Jokic can just kind of coast to this. The problem I have is just that when Jokic won the title, he said, I'm going to take extra time before coming back. Those of us here in Denver, we're not sure when he's going to be back in the building, let alone practicing, let alone playing. So he'll be ready for opening night to feel pretty confident, but I don't know what shape he's going to be in, what condition, and how he's going to approach the season. But we're expecting a lot of load management. We're expecting a lot of coasting from this Nuggets team and Jokic in particular, which is why I don't think that now is the time at all to get it on him, especially at the sharpest price.
Yeah, I was kind of curious because I thought it could go one of two ways when you look at this next season for the Nuggets, right? Where they lose some key depth pieces, maybe almost by necessity, they lean into like, okay, well, we lost some core pieces. Hey, Jokic, can you just carry us to some extra wins because you're just that good? So there was one, fork in the road that it could go that direction. But then there's the other one where, as you said, they could coast. They could just take things very easily. They know that they are the team to be reckoned with if they just make it to the postseason. So maybe there's some, not some concern about home court advantage, that kind of thing. But how much does Embiid also winning this past season maybe kind of erase some of that voter fatigue that I think Jokic was experiencing a little bit?
I think more winning the title takes care of it right now, because now you can say, look, we didn't give him the 3 in a row because we weren't sure that he was this all-time great. We just didn't know what he would do in the playoffs, which was a stupid talking point again. And then he dominates in the playoffs. They go 16-4. He wins finals MVP, is the best player on the planet. I don't necessarily know that there's kind of the conversation about that there will be an apology award for Jokic, that he'll win MVP as kind of a, hey, sorry about last year. We all kind of lost our minds. Like
we should have given you the 3-timer. Sorry.
Yeah. Like we listened to Kendrick Perkins. We learned we shouldn't do that like ever. So as part of that whole conversation, I think that there's a evolution that probably occurs. But I don't necessarily think it'll be an apology vote. I think it'll just be much easier. I think the bar will be lowered for Jokic versus it was raised impossibly high last season. I think that this season they'll probably be like, no, look, he won finals MVP. They dominated. He's an NBA champion and he's still the best player in the league. I don't think that I think the fatigue factor kind of got broken last season. For me, I do think though that there still will be some staleness in terms of, okay, Jokic is great, but what's the new thing? And that's kind of what we always look for. This conversation has been about Giannis versus Embiid versus Jokic the last really 3 seasons. I'm kind of anticipating some new names in the race when it comes to this season.
Yeah, I'm really curious. Who do you have as maybe like your dark horse contender to break into that maybe final 3, final 5 MVP mold? Because again, we go through the names, the usual suspects: Giannis, Luka, Embiid, Jason Tatum. Those are the other guys rounding up the top 5, at least over at FanDuel. I personally, Matt, I'm looking down a little bit further on the list. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander at plus 1,800. He, I think, is my dark horse favorite to at least be a finalist for MVP this year if OKC takes the leap that we're kind of, it feels like everybody's expecting them to take at this point of their like rebuilding trajectory.
I already have a bet on him. I got in early on that. The odds are still great on SGA to win this award. One thing to keep in mind is that there's only been 2 players in the last 24 seasons over the age of 28 to win the award. So a lot of guys are kind of going to age out. It was Kobe and Nash. There's a bunch of guys in the 90s because you had guys like Jordan and Malone and Barkley. But now it really has been, if you're between 24 and 28, that's kind of the range. Jokic is at the very top of that. Embiid is just past that, as is Giannis. And so you start looking at guys like, I think Luka. Luka's always going to be very high in this. He's going to have sky high usage. I think Luka will finish top 3 this year versus last year. He's wildly disappointed in the MVP race the last 2 seasons relative to his price. I think he'll be in that conversation, but I love SGA. I was shocked when I've gotten pushback on that, where they're like, you really think so? I'm like, he finished 5th on the ballot this year. Like, the voters already said, this is an MVP caliber player. This player is in the MVP conversation. You make the ballot, you're absolutely in the conversation. The jump between in the conversation to serious contender is steep, but SGA's numbers back it up. I mean, he's an awesome defender. He's a great passer. He's extremely efficient. If anything, you kind of challenge him on, okay, can he spread the floor enough? Well, guess what? He was 90th percentile on pull-up jumpers last season in efficiency via Synergy Sports. The whole game's there. Having this explosive summer with Team Canada. Like, the whole narrative is setting up for SGA. So I love him for this award. The other one I would look at, honestly, this is the real dark horse, I think, is Donovan Mitchell at 31-1.
Ooh, I like that's the spiciest take I've heard out of you in a while.
Cavs have put in monster regular seasons the last 2 years. They really kind of tailed off last year when they could have pushed a little bit further. I think this year they're going to put in another 50 plus win campaign. that will get you in the, like, that's what you got to start with is, are you going to win 50 games? Most of the time, not always, you can win it with 46, but most of the time you got to win 50 plus. The Cavs are primed to be there. They added shooting, which will help with some of their problems offensively last summer. They got young guys like Evan Mobley and Darius Garland taking a step forward. But Mitchell, if you look at last season's numbers and you actually look at what Donovan Mitchell did in the regular season, which for the first time award winner, you get a pass. Like, it'll be okay now. He's not going to get the kind of treatment Joel Embiid's about to catch. So I think Donovan Mitchell is an absolute steal at 31-1. I think there's a very good chance he puts up monster numbers for a top 2 seed Cavs team. Donovan Mitchell will be my long shot of choice at 31-1.
Will we see Nuggets Nikola Jokic walk into his 3rd MVP award, or will a dark horse candidate emerge from the shadows? Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Donovan Mitchell. You'll have us covered for all of that and more over at Locked On Nuggets. Matt, I appreciate you stopping by Locked On NBA with me.
Thanks for having me.